everybody's excited about DOGE, right? DOGE, about Elon Musk and Vivek. As I travel around the world, everybody here is excited about DOGE. I get questions about DOGE and Elon Musk and Trump in Japan. I got it in Australia and everywhere else. There was a really intriguing Wall Street Journal article today about the intention of DOGE to shut down some of the financial regulatory agencies. Here is the headline of the Wall Street Journal article. Trump advisors seek to shrink or eliminate bank regulators. And it turns out that along with the Treasury Secretary, DOGE people from DOGE are actually interviewing some of the financial regulators for positions like head of the FDIC, head of the Office of the Control of the Currency, and so on. There's even talk about abolishing the FDIC. And I read this and I go, whoa, maybe I was wrong. Maybe these are true capitalists, and maybe they really want to put the whole financial industry on a capitalist footing, and they want to completely defang the regulators and get rid of the FDIC. Now, always keep on reading after you read something like that. But it turns out that's not exactly what they want to do. What they want to do is cut headcount, which is good. They want to fire people, which is good. So, for example, they don't want to get rid of deposit insurance. And I don't see anywhere in the article or anywhere that I've seen that they want to reform deposit insurance in a significant way. What they want to do is get rid of the FDIC and move deposit insurance to the Treasury, and thus reduce the number of people maybe that work at these places. They're also looking at the Office of the Controller of the Currency and looking at its regulatory function and saying, well, wait a minute, the FDIC regulates banks, the Office of the Controller of the Currency regulates banks, and the Federal Reserve regulates banks. They don't want to stop regulating banks, as far as I can tell. But they want to consolidate that. Maybe we should have one entity. Now, this was something that the Bush administration wanted to do. This is even something that was discussed seriously during the Obama administration coming out of 2008. The idea was, why do we have so many regulatory agencies regulating banks? There are like 5, 6 of them. Why don't we consolidate them all into one? And there was some talk, and there was some real proposals to bring it all under the Federal Reserve, and that didn't play well. And then in the end, none of that happened. Dodd-Frank was supposed to do that. It was supposed to consolidate the number of regulators, and partially because the banks don't want it, because the banks like playing the regulators off one another. Now, they also hate it because the different regulators have different requirements, and it creates a lot of confusion and uncertainty. But they also like it because they might be able to manipulate the people at the OCC, but not the people at the FDIC, or they can use the OCC people to put pressure on the FDIC people. Banks probably like the fragmented system. Congress likes the fragmented system. So there are a lot of special interest groups, there are a lot of pressure groups, there are a lot of people who want this. So as I'm reading this, and my hopes are slowly diminishing, because it sounded like they want to get rid of the FDIC, which means get rid of deposit insurance. No, they want to keep deposit insurance, just move it to somewhere else. And it sounds like they want to get rid of the Office of Control of the Currency. No, they want to take all the functioning of the Office of Control of the Currency and integrate it into one entity, taking the regulatory part of the Fed, the OCC, and the FDIC, and create a new super regulator, which might be more efficient and might save money. But it will reduce uncertainty for banks. That's good. So I'm not against it. I think it's good. But it's not the revolution that the headline of the article and many people out there are suggesting is going to happen with DOGE and everything else. So in that sense, it's kind of, disappointing. Now, the one big new financial institution that's been created and was created by Congress after the 2008 financial crisis was created as part of Dodd-Frank. Instead of consolidating regulatory power, they actually created a new regulatory agency, which is called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We've talked about it in the past. CFPB, one of the most rotten, evil, disastrous entities. It was created by Elizabeth Warren. Musk said he wants to get rid of it. Great. I mean, that would be amazing if we got rid of this, right? Because it's a monster and employs hundreds of people and it does massive damage. To get rid of it, you would have to have an act of Congress. You would have to get 60 senators, I'm pretty sure, to get rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Board. I don't see how you can do that. So a lot of interesting talk, right? But not a real path, not a clear path of how you get it done. And what I want is sustainable, real deregulation. Is getting rid of regulations, getting rid of controls. Here it just seems like it's reshuffling the chairs. It's just reshuffling responsibilities. It's not actually getting rid of regulations. So we will see. Again, these are all the kind of reforms that have been talked about in the past. This is not new, and this is the thing about DOGE. Most of the kind of things that they're going to come up with are things that there have been bipartisan commissions in the past, and there have been bipartisan efforts in the past to get done, and they've always failed. Now, maybe this time there's the political will to get it done. I don't see it. I don't see it. The other thing about this is, and this I'm devoting a whole show to in a few days, completely deregulating the financial sector, which is what needs to be done, is hard. It's hard. It's like one of those towers where, you know, you can take out the pieces, and you have to make sure that as you take out the pieces, the tower stays stable. The financial industry is so dependent on regulations that you have to be very careful on how you deregulate it so that you don't cause a massive collapse and a massive crash. It really takes thought. So it's very hard to do, even if you have the political power to do it and the political will to do it. And I don't see where the political power and the political will comes from. It's also true that major changes in financial regulations, major changes in financial regulatory bodies don't happen outside of major financial crises. So it'll be interesting to see if they can pull this off. Again, the motivation is going to be tricky. If they can get rid of the CFPB, wow, that would be amazing, amazing. So I'm excited about the fact that they're talking about it, but my expectations are very, very low, which is good. And my expectations of this administration are very low, so I can only be surprised on the upside.